We do have a caller on the line. Go ahead with your call, Gary.
Good evening, Chris.
How are you?
Question is, I have PTSD. I was in the Gulf War, but I do not have a VA rating. Am I still eligible to check with the VA to see if I do have the Gulf War syndrome?
Zach, great question from Gary there.
I didn't really hear the
Oh,
question.
you can hear. Okay, Gary, stand by. Make sure I get this right. He has PTSD.
Okay.
Okay. Been diagnosed with that. He's trying to improve his rating.
Okay.
He was in the Gulf War.
All right.
All right. Is there a way to improve his rating that he originally got because
Yeah.
he's been diagnosed with PTSD?
Yep. He needs to fill out a supplemental claim form
Okay.
and send that into the VA. I mean, I'm more than glad to help him with it.
Okay.
So-
Perfect. Okay. Gary, I hope that answered your question, or maybe I hope I framed it just right. We talked about the PACT Act earlier.
Yes, sir.
Give us the highlights of this, because that's a broad sweeping act in addition to the Camp Lejeune that we've been talking about as well, that everybody sees on television. Now, let's talk about the PACT Act.
Okay.
Tell us what it is and what it encompasses and what it does for veterans.
Well, what it did and what the federal government intended to do was to address all of these service members who were exposed to toxic substances during their service time, while they were at war, while they were in peacetime. For example, Iraq and Afghanistan and even the Gulf War, we had burn pits. We were all exposed to burn pits. Well, it created a list of presumptive conditions. So if you were there and you have this condition, say asthma, COPD, chronic sinusitis, bronchitis, there's just a laundry list of things there. If you were there and you've been diagnosed with one of those conditions, you need to make a claim to the VA. You'll be service connected, okay? And based on your symptomatology, that'll bear out what your rating is. But go all the way back to Vietnam, and we talked about this a minute ago. There were a lot of Vietnam veterans that were exposed to, sorry about that.
Daylight savings time.
Yep, that were exposed to Agent Orange. But before this act passed, if they were in Thailand, they were still at war, just like the rest of the soldiers, airmen, and sailors that went, but they couldn't get service connected, and just it came out to fix the injustice that the other law created.
Awesome.